Salam, ciao, bonjour, namaste.
Bienvenidos! Hey, my name is Jed. This is Reading with Your Kids. We are beaming out to you and the entire planet from the beautiful, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. You know, my friends, I believe deep down in my heart that families that read together grow together. Every time we sit down to share a story, we're building stronger bonds, sparking creativity, and planting seeds of kindness in young hearts. We hope you'll help us grow our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and let them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, YouTube, wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. Really wonderful show for you today. First up, Dr. Dale Atkins returns to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Dear, Dear. And later in the show, Deborah Holt Williams will be here to celebrate 90 Night Dinos. Hey, my friends, want to let you know we have a brand new Reading with Your Kids certified great read. A Tale of Learning by Once Upon a Dance. This is a joyful story about the courage to keep learning. What happens when the teacher realizes she still has things to learn? That's the question at the heart of A Tale of Learning, a thoughtful and wonderfully playful story about Katina Ballerina, a dance teacher who encourages her students through their struggles while quietly worrying about her own limitations. Katina's journey from teacher to student and ultimately to embracing both roles is what makes this story so special. Children are often surrounded by adults who seem to have all the answers. This book gently reminds them that learning is a lifelong process and that even the people we admire wobble sometimes. The interactive format is particularly effective. Movement and emotional expression prompts are woven throughout the story, inviting children to physically participate rather than simply observe. The book's most memorable idea can be summed up in its wonderful motto: try it, wobble, smile, repeat. That philosophy extends well beyond ballet. It speaks to learning to read, ride a bicycle, make a friend, solve a difficult problem, or attempt anything that doesn't come easily at first. Beautifully illustrated, playful, and emotionally intelligent, A Tale of Learning by Once Upon a Dance is a celebration of curiosity, humility, and perseverance, and a reminder that sometimes the bravest thing a teacher can say is, "I'm still learning too." This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Fart Boy and Reeky Dog Dino Doom. Fantastic new graphic novel written by New York Times bestselling author Joan Holub, who's written over 200 amazing books for kids. It's school sleepover at the museum. What could go wrong? Well, how about this? A snack-fueled explosion of garbanzo beans and peanuts unleashes a stink so powerful it brings the dinosaurs back to life. Now, Fart Boy, Reeky Dog, and their friends are in the middle of a dino-sized disaster. They have to solve tricky riddles, find missing bones, and stop the stinkiest villain of all, Professor Gravy Pants. Because if they don't, the dinosaurs could take over. Or worse, they could become Dino Dinner. This action-packed graphic novel is bursting with friendships, adventure, and enough laughs to shake the museum walls. If your kids love superheroes, if they love dinosaurs, and if they love to laugh until they can't breathe, then Fart Boy and Reeky Dog Dino Doom is the book for you. Because sometimes the power to save the world comes from the unlikeliest place. Grab your copy today and get ready for a reading adventure that's truly dynamite. Joining us once again from the beautiful state of Connecticut, our guest is returning to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Dear, Dear. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Dale Atkins. Hey, Dr. Dale, how are you?
I'm so glad to be with you, Jed. I'm fine. Thank you for asking, and happy, as always, to talk to you about books.
Yeah, we had such a great time talking about it's the turquoise butterfly. Am I right?
Yes, yes. Thank you for remembering.
What a great story, and a great ode to intergenerational friendships.
Yes, yes. And I think that what I did with that was really, really try and understand and try and share all the many benefits of having an intergenerational relationship and for both sides. And we talked about that. And this book is all about the benefits of being in nature. And you can go in with your intergenerational friend. You can experience nature. But really the whole idea was how can we get our kids back into nature? How can we really engage with them in nature and just let them be free and utilize their senses and really become connected and have a relationship with nature? And I try to do this through a story that actually happened to me.
Neat. Yeah. So deer, we're talking about a deer, four-legged deer.
Correct.
Yes. It's funny. I came home from my hike. As I've said here on the podcast before, I actually live in the city of Boston, within the city of Boston. However, I am as far away from downtown as you can be and still be within the city. In fact, the fence is the city line, my property fence. On the other side of our fence is a wildlife sanctuary, which is part of a bigger
how
Blue
lucky.
Hills reservation with a ski mountain. They call it a mountain, but it's actually a little hill. But all sorts of hiking trails. And on the way home from my hike yesterday, there were two deers crossing the street. And thankfully I saw them in time that I could slow down and let them pass in front of me. And I think they're kind of like, even though they're in the woods, I think they're kind of citified because they just walked across the street with an attitude.
Well, yes, I think that's true. And I think that's one of the reasons that we have to be cautious when we're driving, because they do have an attitude, but some of us, if we're not paying attention, we can't brake in time. And sadly, we do see some deer along the side of the road,
Right.
because they do feel that they can just walk all over. And then one of the things that happens in our area is sometimes a fawn will go across, and then the mother will run across after the fawn. And sometimes when people see one deer, they think, oh, that's it. But generally, if you see one deer, you're going to see more than one deer. So you just have to wait, because there's surely going to be another deer that's going to cross also.
Yeah.
And yes, they do become, kind of acclimatized to the city, to the urban, especially if those wildlife places are on the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want to hit one of those because they might look cute and everything, but they're a 400-500 pound, I guess, but a big animal.
Definitely. They're a big animal. And, if you're going at a speed, it's not going to be good for you, and it's not going to be good for the animal. It's not going to be good for your car.
Right.
So we all have to be, if we live in a wildlife area, we just have to be a little bit careful, and not just for the deer, for the squirrels and the chipmunks and everybody else who calls nature their home.
Yeah.
We're visiting. It's their home.
So let's talk about Dear. You said this is based on a true story.
It is based on a true story, Jed. During COVID, it was a late Friday afternoon in June in 2021. I was taking a walk in our local sanctuary. It's a very beautiful, beautiful place. It's 144 acres of wildlife trails along the Long Island Sound. So we get lots of shorebirds and we get lots of animals. And I was walking, for some reason, the park was very, very empty. And I saw a group of ducks racing back and forth in the shallows of a pond. And they looked uncharacteristically disturbed. And they really got my attention. And I went to the edge of the pond and I saw a fawn that could not have been more than 3 weeks old. And it was caught in the pond, and the water was coming in, the tide was coming in. And it was pretty clear to me that this little animal was going to drown. And it was running back and forth along the side of the pond, which was reinforced by a lot of rocks. And there was no way to get out. So I watched it, and then I lifted my head, and the mother, the doe, was standing right in front of me, about maybe no more than 6 feet away, which in itself is unusual that the deer would come that close. And she stood there and we locked eyes. And this was so amazing. She looked down into the pond and then she looked at me. And then she looked at the pond and she looked at me. And I felt that she was really beseeching me to do something, like, you're here, you better help me. And so that's kind of what started this. And spoiler alert, 2.5 hours later, I enlisted the help of 2 young kids who had just gotten off their work at the sailing school. And I said, can you help me? I really want to try and do this. And it took us 2.5 hours, but we were able to be successful. And we helped this little fawn find a way out. And that's a whole story in itself. So I was telling my nephew about what happened. And he said, you know, Aunt Dale, I think that's another children's book for you, because I had already written The Turquoise Butterfly. And I said, you think? And he said, absolutely. So I started playing around with it. And I said, well, I think this really could be a wonderful children's book if I make the central character 2 little friends and have them explore and go into the woods. So separately, what I've been dealing with is so many children who have not had the experience of connecting with nature and trying to have a relationship with nature. Urban kids, suburban kids, rural kids, to just really have that experience. And we know so many benefits that happen from that. And I've been looking at it from the perspective of kids who are on their devices for an inordinate amount of time, and what's happening to their attention, their focus, their noticing. And it just seemed to come together that if I created these 2 little friends and had them be without an adult, just be independent and go into the forest and discover all of these wonderful things in the forest, and then they come across a a fawn in distress, how are they going to get this fawn out? How are they going to help it? So that was the story, and that's really what the impetus was for the story. And so I wrote it, and here we have it.
There you go. There you go. Let's talk, please, a little bit more about the specific benefits that kids get from connecting with nature. We talk a lot about the different benefits that kids get when we read with them, and those benefits are myriad. There's just so many benefits. Of course, I think the greatest benefit is the fact that you're developing a relationship with your kids, which is something that can't be replicated. And I think a lot of that bond and relationship can be built exploring the nature together.
It can be. You're so right. And one of the things that it does is it's kind of like the antidote for the way we are on hyper alert when we are in our normal day. It gives us a chance to be calm and to recover. And it gives a chance for the brain to be calm and recover. And that's probably the most important thing. The other thing is that when you go with a young person, it can be your child, it can be your niece, your nephew, you are giving them an opportunity to become creative and explore and use their imagination. And if you hang back and say, you know, what do you see, or what are you listening to? Let's be really quiet. Let's just listen. And you can hear the sounds of the forest. You can hear the sounds of the wind. You can hear the sounds of the birds. You can hear the crackling. In the book, we have, the children listen and they hear snap, crack. Well, that's the doe jumping in the twigs. Mm-hmm. And what do you see? What do you hear? The book is written as a love letter to nature. So it's, dear, dear, what do you hear? Dear, dear, what do you see? And we're trying to get the children to observe and be very, very intent on noticing and paying attention. So one of the benefits is that it does that. It gives children the opportunity to use their senses in a way that I believe, and other researchers believe, they're getting degraded by not being in the real world, literally in the real world. So the colors, the hues, the dampness, the textures, and just the shadows, and then to watch the animals and to watch the birds and to really look very carefully. So when you do this with a child, you are sharing and looking at the world through their perspective. And then you're sharing because you're giving them your perspective. So if they're down here looking, and then you say, oh, wait, look up there. Look what's at my eye contact. Mm-hmm. And then you watch and you say, oh my goodness, look at that butterfly. There's another one. What are they doing? Look how they're relating to each other. So you are not directing, you're kind of guiding. And then what I notice is happening is then children say, come here, look at this. So you are developing a sense of responsibility, of connection. You use the word relationship. And if we can get kids to develop a relationship with nature, with the animals, with nature in general, noticing the seasons, noticing the different colors, the textures. This is growing, then it dies, but look at this tree. This now has petals on it. This one is now blooming. That one's already finished. So you learn about the cycle of life, and you have to be patient. And one of the things we want to develop in our children is patience and mm-hmm. empathy. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the things that this is one of the environments where this happens. You know, there's a fellow, Jed, who wrote a book not too long ago called The Last Child in the Woods. And his name is Richard Louv, L-O-U-V. And he talks about something that he coined this phrase, nature deficit disorder. We have a whole bunch of kids who are totally unaware that a river runs in a certain direction, that, you know, how do you watch what happens when there are boulders? What does the water do? So that they learn from nature that you have to sometimes go around things. You can't just plow through something. And when you have a child figure these things out, or how are they going to get across the river? There's no bridge. How do they know? How do they test for how deep it is? Is this a safe place? Do they have to go further down? They're problem solving. Mm-hmm. And without an adult to teach them, and then they say, hey, come over here, Pop, you know, let's cross over here. They develop a sense of confidence and mm-hmm. a sense of resiliency. Mm-hmm. And these are the benefits. There are so many benefits, but those are some of the benefits. And what we see is that those benefits transfer into their everyday life, the way they may be listening to a friend mm-hmm. or listening to music. Their senses are heightened. The way they're looking at something, they have eye contact. Children who are often on their devices are losing eye contact with other human beings. You know, they're very often talking while they're texting mm-hmm. and they're looking at the screen. They're not looking at the person they're talking to.
Right.
When you're studying an animal, when you're looking at the chipmunk, when you're looking at a doe and the doe looks at you in the eyes, you are really relating and you are communicating, not with the language we use, but we're paying attention to what the language is that the animals use.
Yeah.
These are the qualities that transfer over to human relationships, particularly patience, empathy, and having a different perspective.
Yeah. And
kids of very young ages can really shine in the forest or in a garden.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things that I thought of as you were speaking is we've seen a rash of very young kids experiencing high anxiety and all sorts of issues around that. And I am thinking maybe the best thing for a kid before we're talking about drugs or anything else is like, let's get into the woods. Let's just you're anxious.
Absolutely right.
Let's take a walk.
You're absolutely right. And again, because we notice that blood pressure drops and heart rate goes down and people are much more open, their body language changes because they feel much more connected and at home. When you're asking a child to breathe deeply in nature, and then you say, what are you smelling? Well, you might be smelling something, you know, the wet dew. You might be smelling honeysuckle. You might be smelling anything. You notice, but you're taking a nice deep breath, and you feel the air, and you get them to calm down in nature. And when they become more adept and when they become more accomplished at doing things or figuring out, I can walk over here, but I shouldn't walk over there because it's really muddy, they develop the confidence and they become less anxious because they're taking control over the environment in which they are. They're finding a way not to be the master of it, but how to engage in a way that makes them feel confident and confident. So, it's no secret, and you mentioned addiction, that most programs that are working with people who have addiction take them into nature or have fully engaged nature programs. They're wilderness programs. We want people to develop a sense of competency, connection, and so they feel that they are able to do things. They can take risks that will be healthy for them. And if they fall, they'll figure out a way to get up and move forward. But they have to be able to independently work through things. And that is really a wonderful way to deal with anxiety. The other thing, and you remember from the other book, where we had the grandmother relaxing with her granddaughter who got very anxious, and we said, just breathe, lie back, look at the sky, watch the clouds float by. And then we had her sing a little tune to the little girl. But when you are in this vast space and you notice things moving in their natural way, you become less anxious. Yeah. You become able to deal with the problem that you have in a way that is creative, imaginative, and you get out of the fear place and you go into the problem-solving place because you see that there are possibilities. Many people who have anxiety are stuck because they don't see how they're going to get untangled. When you're in nature and you see how things literally get untangled and how things survive next to each other, they need each other to live. Maybe they can be less anxious if they ask a friend for help, right? Yeah. If they walk with someone and they feel less fearful. These are the things that I think only nature can provide, because we can talk about it, but unless you are in it, you don't realize the benefit. Yeah. And there are very few people who come back from a nature walk or being by the sea or watching a river or sitting on a stoop and just watching the birds or watching the clouds who don't feel more relaxed. And when you feel more relaxed, you're less anxious.
You've had a very successful career as a psychotherapist down in New York City and a lecturer. How does it feel now that you are kind of starting a second career or maybe a third career as a children's author?
I love it, Jed. I'm having such a good time. I mean, and it's leading to lots of things. I'm not only reading the book to children and to their families, but like sometimes we'll do a craft afterwards. And in a week, I'm going to be reading the book in the park where it happened to a group of residents of the town and their children. And then we're going to take a little nature walk. This morning, I led a group of people, adults, on a kind of a sensory walk. And I gave everybody a little magnifying glass so they could look up close. I had asked people to bring binoculars if they could. But really what we did was we stopped, we waited, we pondered, we listened. I brought some poems. Some people said some prayers. And then we walked at a pace that seemed to work. And we became much more connected and much more a part of the experience of being in nature. And that's really what I'd like to do. So this next chapter is, yes, about writing books for children, about what I think are important topics, but also helping adults and children really experience the benefits of nature and to try to get people to be, again, even if they're in the city, to investigate a rooftop garden to grow herbs or plants in pots on their windowsill, to notice when they're walking along the sidewalk, to notice the trees and to notice what's growing at the base of the trees and to see the birds and to pay attention, listen to their bird song, watch them, see what they're up to. A friend of mine talks about, what is the business of this animal? What is this animal's purpose? And what is he doing? Or what is she doing? I find that if there's a pond, kids love to watch the ducks. And it's not just, oh, there's the ducks. Watch the ducks.
Mm-hmm.
In the book there are 10 ducks, but one's a little timid about jumping in. And we see the mother duck is waiting patiently. And all the other ducks are over swimming and she's waiting and we're waiting. And then the duck jumps in because sometimes we don't want to go with the crowd, but we need somebody who's patient with us.
Mm-hmm.
And kids love to watch the frogs. They love to just watch the water. And if we can sit with them with our phones away and just pay attention, I believe that we really will get this connection that everyone is so fearful of losing, because we are, and try to reconnect with one another.
Yeah. Well, it's being in nature with your kids is the same as reading with your kids in that you're here, the most important person in a kid's life, a parent or maybe a grandparent, but this person that is so very important in the kid's life has put everything else down to be with the kid.
I love to encourage people to bring a book and read in nature and to bring a towel and sit on it or a little blanket and, have the kid pick their favorite book and then sit together and read and stop and then see what's going on around you. The other thing I encourage people to do, and this is from my teaching days, is to take photographs. And that's the only reason that you can use the phone, to take photographs as you go in and then have the child narrate what the story will be, write the story, and make your own book. And so you make a book of the experience of being in the garden or being in the woods or sitting by a pond. And it can be a 3-page book. It could be a 10-page book, but you can write it by using the child's language. Yeah. And I find it so wonderful to see what children want to write, because it's often not anything like we would write, but it's their book. And then when we go back and read the book with them, it's so simple. When you read the book with them, you then can create that memory and reinforce. And then remember when we saw the chipmunk, and remember when the bunny came, and then remember when the squirrel jumped up and got the acorn, so that you are reinforcing and reliving the experience of what it was like to be in the park that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I think when we look at it this way, it's not just going to the park to throw a ball, which is a really wonderful thing to do. On your way there, what are you noticing? What is the child paying attention to? And that's something that I think is really important. If you have a dog and you're walking your dog, when the dog stops, look up and see what's in the trees. See the shapes of the leaves. Notice it. Look at the different colors. Even if you're not with a child, these are things that help us connect with nature.
Yeah. I think, you mentioned reading the book to the folks in your community, and doing things with groups of adults. I really think that Dear would be a great activity for a senior after daycare program, whatever they're called in your community.
Yes.
What a great opportunity. Just get out and move and do something other than playing bingo.
It's so true. And again, that's where these little magnifying glasses come in, because I give them to adults and all of a sudden they're looking at things more closely. And we do have, in our community, we do have programs for elders who are often brought in a bus to the park. And this would be a wonderful opportunity to just, read the book or not read the book, but let's take a closer look at nature. And in that case, you can have, 5, 6, 10 people sitting in a circle talking about their memories of being in nature. Mm-hmm. And certainly older people spent much more time in nature than younger people are today. And just revisiting those memories could be a wonderful activity. I think that I'll credit you when I propose that to the assisted living place here.
Wonderful. Well, I will take credit wherever I can. Let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Dear and the other great books coming from your imagination.
Thank you. Well, Dear can be ordered at any bookstore. You can get it online at Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You can go to my own website, which is www.drdaleatkins.com. And I have a link there that goes directly to the publisher. And that's, you can kind of get it anywhere now. And if the bookstore doesn't stock it, they can get it because they get it through Ingram, which is the bookseller that supplies most bookstores. Yeah. And I love to hear from people. I'm so happy hearing from people who have read The Turquoise Butterfly, and they tell me the stories about what they're doing with the book. And I've started to, this book came out on June 2nd, and I'm already starting to hear from people and what they're doing. One woman said that she was walking her kid to school, and she always takes one route, and there's kind of a little garden path that goes parallel. And she said, I never thought to take the garden path because I'm always in a rush. And she said, I took the garden path and it was exactly the same time, but I had a chance to really look and see. And we talked about some of the things along the way. So it could be such a simple shift that you make that makes a huge difference. Or on the way home, to get a small plant of an herb and have your child help tend that plant and see what's going on, and then cut the herb and use it in your food. So the kids get a sense of what nature's bounty is, and that it's so vast. And I have found that this is the way we not only help to develop empathy, as I said before, and concern for others, but we are raising children to be stewards of the earth, and we certainly need them, and to be caring about the forest and the animals and the local community gardens, that we have an investment in this. Yeah. And then depending on what the children are interested in, they can do projects. They can gather their friends to do things, to maybe develop a community garden or to build one at an assisted living center, something like that. Yeah. You never know where these things will go.
Absolutely. I think it's wonderful. And I'm so happy that you've created this book that'll get kids, and their adults out into nature, appreciating nature, and appreciating each other. So, check it out today. Dr. Dale Atkins, Dear. My friend, thank you so much for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you for what you're doing, and have a wonderful evening.
Hey, this is a message for all the authors that are listening. You worked hard on your book. You spent months, maybe years, writing, revising, dreaming, and believing. You created characters, solved problems, overcame doubts, and brought a story into the world that only you could tell. Now it's time to help readers discover it. The Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program was created to celebrate outstanding children's books and to help authors reach more families. When a book earns our seal of approval, we don't stop with an award certificate. We review the book, feature it on the podcast, share it across social media, and help introduce it to parents, teachers, librarians, and caregivers who are looking for great books to share with kids. Because your story matters. And the families who need your story deserve a chance to find it. Please visit readingwithyourkids.com and click the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page to learn more. That's readingwithyourkids.com. Let your book find the readers it was written for. Hey, my friends, I want to tell you about a coffee company I recently discovered that really lines up with the values we talk about right here at Reading with Your Kids. It's called a Frera Coffee Company, and they're doing things the right way. The coffee is sourced directly from certified Rainforest Alliance farms in Central and South America, with a big focus on farms in El Salvador. I love El Salvador. They work directly with local farmers, support sustainable farming practices, and even use recyclable and combustible packaging. Now, all of that would already make me feel good about supporting them, but honestly, the coffee itself, it's fantastic. You can really taste the quality. The beans are grown in rich volcanic soil and carefully roasted, so the flavor really comes through smooth, rich, and super aromatic. Now, whether you're somebody who loves a strong espresso to get moving in the morning, or you prefer a lighter roast while reading a good book, Frera has something you're going to enjoy. And this is kind of beautiful. 5% of all their sales goes to charities helping conserve and preserve the great outdoors. So if you'd like to try coffee that tastes amazing and supports good people doing good work, head on over to afreracoffee.com. That's AFUERA coffee.com, and use the promo code READ to get an exclusive 15% off your order. And of course, when you use the code, you're also helping support the podcast. Great coffee and helping families grow closer together. I call that a pretty magical way to start your day. Joining us right now from the beautiful state of Colorado, our guest is here today to celebrate her debut picture book. It's called Nighty Night Dinos. Please welcome to the show, Deborah Holt Williams. Deborah, how are you?
I'm great, thanks, Jed. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show. I can't wait to talk about Nighty Night Dinos. I was like that kid, like so many other kids, loved the dinosaurs when I was growing up.
Me too. I was 6 years old when my first grade teacher brought in a bone that she'd found in a quarry. I was living near Buffalo, New York then. And I begged my parents to take me to that quarry on the weekend, and I found a bone too. And I've just been hooked on dinosaurs ever since.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool. Tell me, what was your favorite dinosaur?
I think the Brontosaurus, just because it seemed a little more friendly and not as bloodthirsty as some of the others.
Yeah, I was a big Stegosaurus fan.
Oh, yeah.
I like the
That
thing
is the state dinosaur of Colorado, the Stegosaurus.
Really? I had no idea. Look at that. Look at that. So tell us about Nighty Night Dinos. I'm having a feeling we're not going to see any bloodthirsty T-Rexes chomping on little dinosaurs.
No, this is pretty sweet little bedtime story. It started off in 2020. I entered a contest for a bedtime story poem. And I just had a few verses and it did not win, but I still liked it. So I kind of hung on to it. And a year later, I shaped it into, I was imagining it as a board book. So I sent it to Familius Publishing. I sent it a few other places too and got rejected, but I heard from Familius the very next day, which hardly ever happens. And they really liked it, but they're a small publisher and they had a few dinosaur books in the pipeline already. So we just kind of kept in touch. And then that was in 2021. And then in 2023, I got an email kind of out of the blue about would I add 4 more stanzas and they could make it into a 32-page picture book. So I thought about that for a nanosecond and said, yes. So I sent it off and I had a procedure in the hospital, nothing real serious. I had a device put in my heart, but I couldn't sleep and I'm tossing and turning and I turned on the computer and there was my contract it was just what the doctor ordered to have a contract for my first picture book. So
wonderful. Congratulations. And isn't it amazing? We're living in a time where somebody on one side of the country is talking to somebody on the other side of the country. We can see each other. And the person on the western part of the country says, I was in the hospital, just had no big deal, just had something put into my heart. Oh, back when you and I were kids, that would have been like, oh my goodness, this is a big deal.
A big deal. Yeah, well, it's not surgery. It goes up through a vein. But anyway, waking up and finding that contract just really brightened my evening.
That was wonderful. That I'm thrilled for you. Familia, the folks at Familias have been part of the Reading with Your Kids podcast pretty much since we launched. We did lots of work and featured lots of their authors early on in the podcast. It was lots of fun. We've had the publisher,
Christopher
Robbins on the podcast, and their art director and their managing editor and all sorts of folks. So I'm not surprised that you found a wonderful home with our friends at Familias.
Yeah, I think it's great. They've been just wonderful to work with. And one of my favorite expressions is, I am so grateful for the things in my life that didn't work out. And I think about that with my poem. What if it had won and it might have appeared in some magazine that nobody saw, or, I might have gotten a little check, who knows, but it wouldn't have probably turned into this beautiful picture book. So You just never know.
Yeah. So that's really neat. One of the things I oftentimes ask authors is, did you always imagine writing a children's book? And at least for this story, the answer is no, that you didn't think of this as a kid's book.
Not in its beginning, but that's always kind of been the goal, is to have a beautifully illustrated hardcover children's book. I have 5 little early readers. They're, about 4 inches square, cardboard cover, for the educational market. And I'm proud of them. They've been helping kids learn to read for 25 years now. They're still on their online catalog now. And I've had about, over a dozen articles and highlights and Jack and Jill. But the goal was always to have a beautiful picture book that my grandkids could find in their library and in the stores.
Yeah. And let's give credit, because she's probably related to me like 18 steps away, but let's give credit to your illustrator.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased.
Oh, yeah, she is wonderful. She had done a dinosaur book for Familias a few years ago, and I didn't get to see any of her artwork until it was all done, and I was so pleased. It's kind of like, I wonder if it's like how parents feel when they drop their kids off at a boarding school. You just hope that they're going to treat your baby kindly. And she did such a beautiful job with it, and I was so pleased. The only input I had was when I saw all the internal art, she said that the end pages might be clouds, and I said, well, what if you made the clouds look like chubby dinosaurs? And she did, and so it's really pretty cute.
Okay, we're seeing the cloud dinosaurs. Very, very cute. And, of course, the illustrator, you told me before we hit record, is Anne Doherty.
Anna
Doherty, originally from Scotland, now living in Switzerland.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got married and her husband's in Switzerland. So.
Yeah. So now that the book is out there, have the grandkids, hadn't gotten any feedback from the grandkids now that their grandmother has a book?
Yeah, the ones that I sent it to, my author copies, are, too old for a picture book, but I just wanted them to have a copy to remind them to never give up on a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do this since I learned how to write. I wanted to be a writer. And but I do have a grandson who's turning 4, and I haven't yet seen him to give him the book, but I think he'll be just the right age for a dinosaur book.
Yeah, and I bet you those older grandkids are very proud of their grandmother.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So tell us about the poem. Are we going to be meeting different dinosaurs? Are they going to be up to any kind of shenanigans?
Yeah. Yeah, it's short. It's 155 words, I believe, but it's talks about 11 different dinosaurs, and it starts with them playing and romping and having fun, and then they get tired and they go to bed and they need their sleep. And if there's a moral of the story, it's you need your sleep too. And it ends with good night, my little dinosaur.
Well, that sounds like, I remember going in with my kids when they were younger, knowing that we're not going to get out of this with one story.
Yeah.
We're gonna, and if you start, I think if you start the story time saying, okay, we're going to do 3 books tonight. What are they going to be? And then you say, no, put Harry Potter back. We're not reading that.
We'll be here all night.
But if it's like 3 or 4, then it's not, oh, one more, please, one more. It's like, okay, This is it. This is a playlist. This would be the perfect ending of that reading session.
I think it would be. I think it's a great bedtime storybook. And I think kids enjoy rhyme. You know, you hear that rhyming manuscripts don't sell because they don't translate well for foreign markets. But kids love rhyme, I think, and the predictable, you know, sounds that they can identify. And so I think it's a book that kids will really like.
Yeah. Well, there's so many reasons I think kids love it. It's because it's like a song. They get the rhythm. And there's also a great way kids can start to feel empowered, as if, yes, I'm going to be able to read because I can predict what's the next word.
Right. Yeah. And interestingly, there was a reviewer who sang the book to the tune of Twinkle Twinkle. And I didn't realize writing it that it fit perfectly into that tune, but that was kind of interesting to hear her sing it.
Wow, that is very cool. Tell me, as you're writing this book, what's your process? Are you imagining the pictures? Are you kind of reciting the book out loud so you can get the rhythm down and the meter and all that?
Yeah, I really rely. I like to write on paper first, because if you cross off an idea, you can still kind of see it there on the paper. If you hit delete, it's gone, and my memory being what it is, it might never come back, you know. But so I start on paper, and when I do move into Word on my computer, I really enjoy using the read aloud feature, because I can hear what clunks and what flows, and also, of course, check for spelling errors and all that sort of thing. But so, you know, this one started just as a short little poem, and then got a little bigger into a board book, and then got bigger into a picture book. And I really enjoy the challenge of rewriting, you know, going over, could I use a better word here? Is there a different verb? You know, I enjoy that process a lot.
Yeah. Now that the book is out there and you are an official picture book author, are you working on a new project?
Well, Familius has sent me contracts for 2 more. You know, after this book had been signed, I got an email from them, and it was when the tariffs were real active. And I thought, oh dear, paper comes from Canada and books are printed in China. And I was just sure this email was going to tell me that they couldn't produce my book after all, because I'd had 2 really close calls that fell apart, not with Familius, but other ones. And so I opened the email, and it was, how would you like to do a series? Yes. So they offered me some topics, and they have since signed contracts for Nighty Night Puppies and Nighty Night Bears, and those will be coming out in 2028.
Wow, so exciting.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Hey, what advice would you give somebody who is an aspiring author that may be listening, that has hit a few brick walls, gotten a few rejections? What advice would you give to that person?
I would say diversify, you know, don't just submit stories, enter contests and follow blogs and write poetry and spend some time in the library. I go to my library about once a week, and they give me a rag and a spray bottle, and I wipe the schmutz off the picture books, and it gives me a chance to see what's new and what publishers are publishing the kind of books that I like. And sometimes I'll whip out my camera and take a picture of the name of the publisher so that I can maybe submit something that they might like. And I think it's important to read a lot of what's out there. And I think that a lot of young moms get that chance because they're reading to their kids at night. But some of us older ladies have to we rely on our memories of what children's books used to be. And you think about like Make Way for Ducklings, that is so long compared to today's books. And so I think you need to keep current. You need to help out at your library, check out a bunch of books. It's good for their circulation and it's good for your knowledge of children's books. So that would be my advice. Try different things and help out your library.
Well, I love that you used Make Way for Ducklings, a beautiful classic story set here in Boston.
Yes.
As an example, it definitely was one of the first books that I had in my library when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, and Blueberries for Sal, and so many good ones that are probably considered too long now, but were wonderful at the time.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, they say everything that's new is old, or everything that's old is new. Maybe going back and looking back at those classics would be a great way to kind of hit on an idea that worked in the past that kind of fell out of favor, and you can bring it back.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's good to get to know those children's books.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to go and do a reading at a library or in a classroom yet?
I start this week. I have 2 preschools lined up for this week, and then I have 2 libraries next week. And actually 3 libraries. So yeah, that's just starting. The actual book comes out the 16th, which is tomorrow. So that's when I'm going to start doing schools and libraries.
Wonderful. Let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Nighty Night Dinos and find out more about you.
Well, I have a website, and it is DeborahHoltWilliams.com. And that kind of talks about my book and about my presentation, what I do with the kids. And we have an art project that involves, do you remember in library books used to have a pocket in them for the library card to go in?
Yeah.
Well, I ordered a bunch of those pockets, and I have little cutout dinosaur cards, and the kids can color the pocket like a bed, and then they can tuck the dinosaur into the pocket.
Neat. That sounds neat. We've had a really fun time speaking to the author of Nighty Night Dinos. It is the debut picture book from our guest, Deborah Holt Williams. Hey, Deborah, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jed. It was an honor.
Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids, and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. This episode made you smile and gave you something to think about. Please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Leave a 5-star review, and of course, subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. And listen, if you have a moment, even if you don't ever listen to Reading with Your Kids on YouTube, if you could go over and subscribe to our channel, we'd really appreciate it. That would help get the word out to other people and really help grow the mission, help more families grow closer together all over the world. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Dr. Dale Atkins. Please be sure to check out Dear Dear. Also want to thank Deborah Holt Williams. Please be sure to check out Nighty Night Dinos. I want to thank my incredible team, Chris Doherty, Daylene Rose, Advina Lopez, Ella Badier. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the love and support she brings to my life. Most of all, I want to thank you. You are incredible. You are doing so much for your kids. You're taking the time to read to them every night. And when you're doing that, you're giving them the best chance to be successful and happy in life. It's incredible. Reading with your kids 20 minutes a day can really help change their world in so many ways. And it's going to help you too. It's going to help you feel calmer. It's going to help you feel closer. It's going to help you feel loved. And that's a good thing. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids. And before we go, here is the song we created for A Tale of Learning. Check it out and love it.
Try it. Wobble, smile, release. Try it. Wobble, smile, repeat. Oh, hey. I stood at the bar with my toes turned out. I knew some things, but I still had doubt. I bent my knees and I pointed my and dance with all your heart. A plie here, a tendu there, a little pirouette with a spin in the air. Releve high, whoops, down I go. But every little wobble helps a dancer grow. Some days you're the teacher, some days you're the one learning something difficult and making learning fun. We can help each other, we can cheer and clap the beat.